Here's the question we're going to answer today on complete estate planning. I need to use a corporate trustee for my estate. I don't have any friends or relatives that I trust to handle the money for my children. So, how do I pick one? Should I go with a large company or a small company? It doesn't matter if I'm already a customer or not of whomever I pick. We'll get Nick to answer that coming up. Welcome in. Glad to have you on the show. Once again, please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're listening to us. We appreciate that support. We also appreciate it when you have questions for us, as oftentimes you do for Nick, and we try to feature them here on the show. And Nick, we have one today, as I kind of touched on in the beginning. I just want to start off with kind of explaining a corporate trustee for those that aren't aware, and then we'll get into the question itself.
Yeah, and this is usually more applicable for someone who sets up a trust. It's less common when someone just uses like a last will and testament, because a lot of these institutions won't handle a probate. But if you don't have an individual person that you trust to be in charge and serve as trustee of your trust after you pass away, institutions will do this job. So most of the big banks, most of the big investment companies, and even some of the smaller ones have a trust department. They'll have like a team of tax people, investment people, and legal people. And what they will do is they will serve as the trustee after you pass away and be in charge of managing and distributing the inheritance. So, Fidelity, Schwab, all the big banks, Edward Jones, all of them, they have departments. And they have, tax, legal, and investment, brainiacs kind of in the back office, and you can name them to be the trustee of your trust if you don't have a person. So that's when we talk about an institutional trustee or a corporate trustee, that's what we're referring to here.
Okay. So the rest of this question, then, how do you pick one? And does it matter if it's a small versus a large company? And does it matter if you're already a customer or not?
It's a good question. So obviously the short answer is it depends, but it depends on what you are looking for. There are pros and cons. I think the large institution versus a local institution is a great portion. There are benefits of each. I've had people who, let's start with banking. They use a small local bank with a couple branches. They know the managers. Or a credit union, something like that. There's obvious, and if you have a problem, you can walk into the branch, you'll see the same people, they know your name. There are benefits to that, don't get me wrong. But there's also, and again, I'm not saying I particularly like or dislike them, I bank with Chase. They're everywhere. Do they all know my name when I walk into the office? No. Is the person in charge in my branch? No. They have to call corporate headquarters, blah, 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 blah. But they have a much bigger legal team, much bigger bank team. So they have a lot more brains in the back office, and they're able to do all of that. And frankly, they have locations everywhere. Okay. So you have all the extra resources that the small one doesn't have. And so I talk to people as far as the corporate trustee. This is more of a, looking at the family, looking at the beneficiaries, what would benefit them. Because the corporate trustee doesn't usually step in until you're dead. So I'm not really worried about someone managing your investments for you. It's more once you're gone, what would be most beneficial for the family? Is this something where you have families spread all across the country and this is a long-term thing and you need, what would be very beneficial for the family is they have a huge team of investment and tax experts and everything like that to manage this, and you have kids all across the country or across the world, and there is value that there is a branch that your kid who's in Ohio can go to, and your child who lives in Montana can go to a branch out in Montana and talk to someone. I've had other people who say, hey, it's a local. It would be really nice if they could call a phone number with the same area code that they have, and everyone's there. It'd be nice if they could all go in and talk to the same person, like the small personal touch. And again, it's not good. One's not right and one's not wrong. But it's really what type of experience are you looking for for the family after you're gone. So don't think about what you need, but think about what your kids, what your grandkids need. And then the flip side, the other part of your question, does it matter if I'm already customer or not? Legally, no. I would say I always like to default or start with institutions that you are already working with. They already have your file, they already have your information, they already have your accounts, and they already have the information and kind of your history and what you want and how you want things to go. So not legally required, but it's a much easier transition if you already work with them and they already have information and they have a relationship with you than not. So I always say start there with the companies you already use. And if none of them have what you need, only then would I get on the phone and look at an outside institution.
All right, good stuff. Hopefully that answers the question. And Nick, my only follow-up would be, is this something someone is expected to have or to know before they come in and meet with you? Or is this something you kind of help guide them through?
Yeah. So first time we sit down, that is not something that should be on the client to figure out up front. We really, I think that's really the job with the client and the attorney to work out together. And that's only based on, after talking about the family, the dynamics, what the inheritance plan will look like, and who we have that we could count on, that we could trust. If we have the humans to do the job, then that's all we need to worry about. But really, once we get into the details of how complex is this going to be, and do we have any people available that we could count on to do this, the corporate trustee is usually a great option if we don't have the right people for it. So this is not something that, like if you work with us, do not feel like you have to do all this research or learn the different trust companies before you come in. I don't know if it's appropriate. Not everyone needs it. But once we get to that, we would uncover that, I think, in the meeting. And then I would, talk to you about options. And typically what I would say is, hey, before our next meeting, here are probably our options for you. If you want to just pick one, great. If you're not sure about that, I've had some people who say, got it, sounds good. I've had other people say, I'd like to talk to them, get a little bit of a comfort level. And I'll say, okay, if I know someone at the company, call them, have a chat with them, and we can kind of go from there. So it's not something you need to figure out before coming in to meet with me. If it is necessary, we will uncover it together. And then I will say, like, I have experience with both of these companies. They're both solid. Do you have a preference? Or if not, why don't you call each of them and then get comfortable? And they will eventually have to make a decision, okay, because it's their plan, but I don't need that before they start.
Okay, very good. If you have questions, CincinnatiEstatePlan.com is the best place to start. And again, we'd love to hear from you. So leave a comment if you want us to try to maybe address something here on the show in the future. Nick, thanks for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. See you next time.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by estate planning? The process can seem complex, but it doesn't have to be. The Rosenbauer Law Office is dedicated to helping you protect what matters most: your family, your assets, and your peace of mind. Nick and the team will guide you through every step of the process, making sure you feel confident and informed along the way. Take the first step toward peace of mind today. Schedule an introductory call by clicking the link in the description of today's show.
This show is for informational purposes only and does not provide any legal advice. Information on this show may not constitute the most up-to-date legal information. Please do not act or refrain from acting based solely on anything you hear on this show. This show does not form any attorney-client relationship with the Rosenbauer Law Office, LLC. Please seek the counsel of a qualified attorney before addressing your own estate planning needs.